Hey guys, it is Michael from StevensvilleGamers, and welcome to a not so traditional looking video. As you guys can see, I'm going to be doing a Yu-Gi-Oh deck look at tutorial. This is the deck that I use, and I'm recently getting back into Yu-Gi-Oh, like really getting back into it. I'm doing a lot of stuff on the Dueling Network. So if you have a Dueling Network account, comment it in the comments below, and I'll add you as a friend on Dueling Network, and we can duel sometime if you want to. But first, I want to show you this box that I got from my good friend Ryan, aka Doom Warrior. I'll put a link to his channel in the description. But he got me this awesome box. It comes with this card divider as well that goes inside of it, like so, as you can see. Like so, goes in, you can divide cards. It's an MTG box, because this is the Sun or the Plains People's one, and but it's big enough for the deck, because I have sleeves on my deck. And yeah, the next thing I want to say is my sleeves. White sleeves on my extra deck, and I have these sleeves on my on the real deck, on the main deck. But I want to start with the extra deck mostly because this is the most important, this is the way I play it, this is an extremely powerful extra deck, but the way I play it, this is kind of my backup. So the first thing I want to point out here is this beauty right here, Supreme Arcanite Magician. You can see its stats there. Go ahead, pause the video if you want, and whatnot. And he is one of the big, he's the only fusion in the deck, but he's also one of the big contributors to some powerful plays that I like to do. Move the camera a little bit. The next are a bunch of staple synchros, staple synchros is what I'd like to call them. Red Dragon Archfiend, everyone should know what he does. Blackwing Dragon, everyone should know what he does. Got Stardust Dragon. Everyone should know what he does. Black Rose Dragon. YuGiOh Guardian, which has just recently been added back into the game. You can use him again, which is cool. And oh right, Ally Justice Cataster. I almost forgot about this guy. He's incredibly helpful, though, facing anything but dark decks. And, of course, Aiden uses a dark deck, so it doesn't really work against him, but it's not the point. And then is the Magician Synchros. Arcanite Magician, which is needed for Supreme Arcanite Magician, but he is fairly good by himself. If you don't know what his stats are, then you can go ahead and look here. Pause video. I'm trying to make sure you guys can see those stats. There you go. But pretty much, I like to bring him out in defense mode. 1800 defense. The main use of the deck is to get a bunch of spells, spellcasters, and spell counters on the field. So with all these spell counters, I can use his effects to constantly remove spell cards and destroy cards. Constantly remove spell counters and and destroy my opponent's cards with Arcanite Magician, so he's extremely useful in this deck. The next two are two of my favorites, Tempest Magician and Explosive Magician. Explosive Magician, again, here, look at her stats and effects and whatnot. Trying to make it lighting, stop. Explosive Magician and Tempest Magician. With her effect, I can remove 2 spell counters from my side of the field to destroy spells and trap cards, kind of like Arcanite Magician, but it costs a little bit more, and I can only do spells and traps, but she also has a solid 2,500 attack points, so she's good in this deck, saying that I use lots and lots of spell counters. Tempest Magician, she is just a one-turn kill machine. It's late in the duel. I don't got many cards left. She comes out on the field. I just keep discarding cards since my hands discarding cards from my hand to give her spell counters. Getting a drink here. And then just build her up with spell counters, then just remove loads of spell counters off of her to inflict 500 points of damage. So usually I go one turn at a time. I discard everything I don't need in my hand. Then at the end of the turn, remove all the spell counters from her. Make you take between like 1,000 and 2,000 life points a turn until you get her off the field. So she's pretty explosive kind of thing. And the reason why I say that she's a one-turn kill is if you really want to, you can build up a bunch of cards in your hand and then bring out Tempest Magician, discard your entire hand, and then put all of the spell counters on her and then remove tons of spell counters to just inflict. You can easily inflict 8,000. So those are the those are the synchros. So now we have Xyz. First Xyz I'll show you is Ebony Illusion Magician, aka the Dark Magician of this time era. There's his stats and effects right there if you want to. You can see all that. I'm just going to read it out loud for you. So he needs 2 level 7 monsters. You can also Xyz him by using the rank 6 Spellcaster type Xyz monster I control as the material. And any materials attached to it become materials for him. And his effect is I can detach once per turn an Xyz material from the card, and I special summon a Spellcaster normal type monster from my deck or hand. When a Spellcaster normal monster declares an attack, I can target a card that my opponent controls and banishes it, but I can only use this effect once per turn. Since I use Dark Magician and other normal type because I use other normal spellcasters like Gemini Elf, and I use Dark Magician in this deck, he's good to use with those. So I get Dark Magician and him out on the field. Dark Magician attacks. Ebony Illusion Magician can banish a card. Next one is the next one is Legendary Magical Dark, or Legendary Magician of Dark. He's the one who's actually on the back of the sleeves. So he requires 3 level 7 monsters. He cannot be special summoned any other ways, but if he attacks my opponent directly and reduces their life points to 0, while he has a Xyz material attached, the match is over. So really it doesn't help till later in the game. I can show you his stats and whatnot here. 2,500 attack, not bad. But pretty much it's you don't really have anything to do. He doesn't have much life points left. Bring him out. Try to set up a direct attack. Just end the match. He's honestly in here for filler and just for fun, because he is the backs of my sleeves. I don't really use him that often. Now, these next 2 are beasts. Drowned Magician, Downerd Magician. I use her twice. Well, I have 2 of her for good reasons. Here's the all those stats and whatnot. Alrighty, now so she requires 2 Spellcaster type monsters that are level 4, and during my second main phase, I can also Xyz this card using a rank 3 monster. Xyz materials attached to the one I use is also now hers. She gains 200 attack for each Xyz materials attached to her. She's already got 2,100, which isn't bad. So if she attacks a defensive position monster, she inflicts piercing damage, and if this card is attacked or was attacked, but whenever she attacks or she is attacked, she loses a Xyz material. That's the reason why I use 2 of her, because you can only get 2 piercing damage attacks out of her. And you only get the piercing damage if she has an Xyz material. So You get 4 attacks with piercing pretty much. And that's not bad considering she has 2100 attack. Now the last one is also a late end of the duel kind of card. This is Alchemic Magician. Alchemic Magician is very dangerous. And the sole reason being she gains 200 attack for each spell card in my graveyard. So late in the duel I got tons of spells that I just started flipping out there. At the end of the duel they're all in the graveyard. I bring her out. Say there's only like 8 in there. She gains 1600 attack just from those 8. And there usually is a lot more than 8. 16 and 15 is 31, I believe. Micael, edit that in if I'm wrong. And so she can just become an absolute monster late in the duel. And the other thing she can do is she can remove an Xyz material from herself. Or I remove an Xyz material from her. And I choose one spell card in the deck and set it in the spell trap card zone. Because if I need a spell card, I can just be like, hey, remove Xyz material, and bada bing, bada boom, it's in my face down in my spell and trap cards. So that is my extra deck, as you guys can see. I want to move on to the main deck now, and I'm going to do the traps first because this deck does not run heavy traps whatsoever. So I got myself a Mirror Force. If you don't know what Mirror Force does, go play the game because you're trash, bro. But if you don't, I'll help you out, and that's what it does. Alright, also Torrential Tribute, another staple. Every deck should have it. That's what it does. If you don't know what it does, learn how to play the game. Jar of Avarice is one that's not a staple, but I really do like this card because I find myself a lot running out of cards in the deck, running out of things to use because this deck takes a long time to develop, takes a long time for everything to set itself up. Now I target 5 cards in the graveyard except for this card and shuffle those 5 into the deck, and then I draw one. So here's what it looks like. Jar of Avarice, bada bing, bada boom, very shiny. That's what it does. You can read it right there. And that's what it does. I can get cards back from the graveyard, incredibly important, I find, later in the duel with this deck. Now, these babies right here. 3 Royal Decree. Negate all other traps. Enough said. This is a spell-heavy, spell-powered deck. I don't want no traps getting in the way. I don't want any Mirror Forces, any Torrential Tributes, any bottomless trap holes getting in the way of this deck. So I just say screw it. Get rid of them. No traps for you. But it also means no traps for me, which at times does backfire very fast. But, you know, I believe it's worth it. Next, I'm going to go on to the main deck monsters. First, I'm going to start out with the main deck monsters that are high stars. And any cards that go along. With those high stars. So I want to start off with the tank of the deck. The absolute beast here, and I almost never get him out, but he's in there because if he does come out, you're donezoed. This, my friend, is Sorcerer of Dark Magic. Here's his stats for you. Focus. Alright. And this man right here is an absolute beauty. 3,200 attack. But he can only be special summoned by tributing 2 level 6 or higher spellcaster type monsters. And I can negate a trap card. And whenever I do, destroy it. But this card must be face up on the field to resolve the effect. So there's very rare cases where he's actually not on the field after I negate something. So this guy is like a Royal Decree with 3,200 attack points. You're not getting through this baby easily. And you're not stopping him with some cheap thing. You're not stopping him with anything cheap, because I could just negate the trap. But that does mean I do need to watch out for bottomless trap holes, and solemn warnings and things that as soon as something hits the field, they activate it because I can't negate it then, unfortunately. But after he's summoned, it's hard to get him off the field. Powerhouse right here. The next high star I want to talk about is the Dark Magician. Like I said, he's in there for fun because it's a magician deck. What's a magician deck without Dark Magician? Just for the fun of it. If you don't know what it is, go figure out how to play the game. Again, oh my god, there we go. Glare because they're in sleeves. And to go along with this bad boy, I already talked about the Ebony Illusion Magician, and I also have two skilled Dark Magicians to back these guys up. Pretty much, I contribute these guys with three spell counters on one of them. I contribute it to special summon him for the hand or the deck, I believe. Yeah, hand, deck, or graveyard. So these babies are in there to get out the Dark Magician. Now, these are low stars, as you guys can see, but I wanted to point them out with the Dark Magician. So the next ones I want to point out are these are the Deadly Trio. All my friends know them ever since 8th grade, which has been 4 years now. These guys are the Deadly Trio. Not these, but the next three cards. First of the Deadly Trio, and probably the deadliest by itself, is Chaos Sorcerer. This man is a beast. This man is a legend. There's the stats and the effect. If you want to read it, go ahead. He is a tank. He is a beast. 2,300 attack points. Banish a dark and a light monster from my graveyard to bring this bad boy out. And once per turn, I can remove from play any face-up monster that I want. But he cannot attack that turn. Lots of lights and darks. Almost the entire deck is full of lights and darks. My friends, he's coming out easily. He's banishing your monsters. That is first of the Deadly Trio. Second of the Deadly Trio is Endymion the Master Magician. I got three of these babies going with me. And to go with those Endymion Master Magicians, I got myself... Where are they? There they are. Magical Citadels of Endymions. These babies gain spell counters whenever these guys gain spell counters whenever you activate a spell card. And once I get 6 of them on the field, I can remove, or 6 of them on 6 spell counters on this card. I can remove those 6 spell counters to summon Endymion the Master Magician from hand, deck, or graveyard. It's a field spell. As you can see, field spell, very helpful, very good with the new rules saying that you can have two field spells on the field. So once I get these guys summoned with this handy dandy card over here, I can remove spell cards from my hand to destroy cards on the field. So if I have a useless spell card in my hand, I can discard it with Endymion's effect, and bada bing bada boom, destroy one of your cards. 2,700 attack is also fairly helpful. Let's be honest here. And yeah, that's pretty much it for Endymion, and the last of the Deadly Trio. But some people say she's the worst, but she is my favorite. Magical Marionette, she's my favorite card ever. She's the one. She is the one for me. This card is a tank. There's the stats. Doesn't look like much at first, but let me tell you, once I get her going, she's a beast. Ask anybody who ever duels with me. She gains a spell counter every single time anybody activates a spell, like most of the spell counter cards do. But with her effect, I can remove 2 of these spell counters. Sorry, I had to take a drink. I can remove 2 of these spell counters on her to destroy a monster on your side of the field, on my opponent's side of the field. Also, it's a benefit because she gains 200 attack for each of these spell counters. So I can just sit there. You keep activating spells, I'll keep activating spells. Magical Marionette keeps getting spell counters. Magical Marionette, is getting attack points and the ability to just wipe your entire field with spell counters. If you get this card going, she is unstoppable. This card mixed with some other cards in the deck like Royal Decree, making it so you can't mirror force her or anything like that, she becomes almost unstoppable. And this, my friends, is a deadly trio. I'm destroying cards, I'm banishing cards, destroying more cards. Everybody's has the lowest attack points originally is Magical Marionette, but that quickly has changed because of she gains 200 attack for each spell counter. And honestly, Chaos Sorcerer with 2300 attack points is the weakest in stats eventually. But just banishing everything, that's the deadly trio right there. Better watch out. So now we're going to get into the bulk of the deck, which is these spell monsters. And I'm going to go through them one by one. I'm going to try to do this fairly quickly, but some of them need more explaining than others for the reasons why I use them. Let's start off with Gemini Elf. Like I said, I have some normal monsters in here just so then Ebony Illusion Magician isn't a total waste of time. So because of normal monsters, I get Ebony Illusion Magician's effect. And it doesn't exactly... It's not bad that they have 1900 attack.
Putting one of your presents on the Christmas tree.
Cool. I'm going to do that soon too. I have to wrap one. So yeah, these guys are not too shabby with 1900 attack points. Get Ebony Illusion Magician effect going. It's fun times. I'm going to move these over here, so hold on. Alright, the next one I want to talk about is Breaker the Magical Warrior. Breaker Magical Warrior, all these guys are low stars. He's a 4-star. I can summon him whenever I want. Here's his stats and whatnot. Pretty much, he gets a spell counter when he's summoned. I can remove a spell counter from him to destroy one of your spells or traps, and he gains 300 attack when he has a spell counter on him. So he's either at 1600 or 1900. And the reason why I say he's at either of those is because he can only have one spell counter at a time, which is kind of a letdown. But 1900 attack, not bad. Keep it on there until I find a threat, remove it, destroy your spell or trap, down to 1600. Not exactly the strongest attack force, but that's not his job. I'm trying to use him to get rid of some spells and traps on your field. Mostly traps, hopefully, because I don't want anything to do with traps in this deck. My goodness. Next, we're going to go with another simple one to explain, which is Marshmallow. Marshmallow, 300 attack, 500 defense, doesn't do anything. She's a fairy. What are you doing in this deck, Marshmallow? Well, if you play the game, you know what he does. He, she, Marshmallow does. There's his stats right there if you want to see him. Pretty much, he's face down defense position. Someone attacks him. Boom, you take 1,000 if you attack him face down. So that's 1,000. That is 1,000 points in burn damage right there. That is damaging, to say the least, for this card. He also is not destroyed by battle. So if you're in a sticky situation, you're trying to pummel me with cards, nope, you can't attack me directly because I got a Marshmallow defending me that can't be destroyed by battle. So, staple to a lot of light-based decks, and this is a light and dark-based deck because of Chaos Sorcerer. And most magicians seem to be dark attribute anyway. Alright. So, the next one I'm going to talk about is Magical Undertaker. She is...
Sorry. Oh.
Dude, I'm just going to edit this out because copyright. You done?
Yeah.
Alright. So like I was saying, Magical Undertaker is a flip effect. If you can see her. Him, her, there you go. So, Magical Undertaker is a Spellcaster flip effect monster. When you attack her face down, I'll use her flip effect. You could target one level 4 lower spellcaster type monster in my graveyard, and I can special summon any of my level 4 or lower monsters that are spellcasters. Spellcaster deck, lots of low levels needed in a deck, just that's basic. She can bring back anything I need at that specific time. I'm pretty sure it's a guy. No, I'm pretty sure it's a guy actually. So he can pull me out. He can start a turnaround. He can start a turnaround. I can bring out something I need and something I need in that situation. Get myself out of a sticky situation. So not bad. I like him. I keep wanting to say her. I like him in the deck a lot. Alright, so now we're going to go into Plague Spider Zombie. Again, you're like, wait, Plague Spider Zombie, that doesn't fit with the deck. Yes, it does, my friends. If you do not know what it does, there you go. There's his stats and whatnot. He is a tank. He pretty much, you purposefully get him in the graveyard to then return one card to the top of your hand, and you can special summon him from the graveyard. Except for then he's banished. But the whole point is you get him, if you have him in the graveyard, you can bring him back at any point in time, as long as you have a card in your hand, and synchro summon with him pretty much at any point in time if you use this card correctly. Like I said, this is a very strong synchro extra deck. This is a very strong synchro extra deck. And Plague Spider Zombie is just kind of a staple when it comes to synchros. That's why he's in there. Another interesting thing for the synchros. Genex ally Birdman. Wait, he's a Genex. That's a whole other Atro type. He's a machine. That doesn't fit. He doesn't have that much attack. But pretty much I can special summon him by returning one face-up monster I control from my hand, or one face-up monster I control to my hand. So pretty much I can special summon him as long as I have another monster on the field. He's a tuner, level 3, pretty much not bad, again, for that strong, powerful synchro deck. Powerful synchro extra deck. Next one I want to go through is Summoner Monk. Summoner Monk is a spellcaster type monster. As soon as he's summoned, he's changed to defense mode. 1600 defense, not too shabby. But the main reason why he's in this deck is because his ability to pretty much discard a spell card from my hand to special summon a level 4 or lower monster from my deck. He cannot be tributed, and the monster that he summons cannot attack that turn, but I use him because of the synchros. I can bring out synchros fairly easily if I can special summon them from my deck. Summoner Monk allows me to do this. Keep in mind, a lot of these are light and dark Atro types helping me with Chaos Sorcerer. Alright, next one I want to point out is another one for the synchros, since I've seemed to started a little bit of a trend here. He's a level 2 tuner, so he probably is not going to be able to summon a lot of the big guys very easily, but he is able to get Explosive Magician, Tempest Magician, and Gale Guardian out fairly easily. But I'm probably going to be using the Genex ally Birdman to get those bigger Red Dragon Archfiend and those kind of guys out. So, Knight's End Sorcerer, 1300 attack, if you haven't seen already. There's his effect. He's a tuner. When he is special summoned, though, I can remove from play 2 cards from my opponent's graveyard. So if he's using cards from the graveyard, or if he's trying to set up a graveyard, he's bringing stuff back from the graveyard, anything like that. Bada bing, bada boom. Knight's End Sorcerer is your guy. Special summon him. Try to get rid of those cards that he's trying to set up or using. He's also a tuner, which again helps in the synchro department. So now we're going to start getting into a lot of the complicated ones in a second. But first I'm going to go over Gagaga Magician. Gagaga Magician, very shiny. I don't know if you'll be able to see him very well. There we go. 1500 attack. Not too shabby. But once per turn, you can change his level. So from 1 to 8, this becomes his level to the end phase. But but he cannot be used in synchro material, which really sucks at times because you could easily just manipulate levels to get what you need. Doesn't work like that, unfortunately, but he can change levels for these synchros. Like I need 3 level 7s or 2 level 7s on the field for Ebony Magician and the Dark and the Ebony Illusion Magician and Legendary Magician of Dark. Those guys definitely are going to be difficult to summon, so I can bring him to a level 7 or whatnot. And so he is for the XZs mostly. Unfortunately, he cannot be used in synchros, which sucks. But he's in there for that reason. So now we're going to get into some of the interesting ones. Excuse me. Defender the Magical Knight. Good defense. Love this guy's defense. 2,000. That's pretty. There's his effects right there if you want to see them. 1,600 attack points. Not too shabby. But when he is summoned, he gets a spell counter. And he only can have one spell counter on him at a time, like Breaker the Magical Warrior. And he has an effect similar to Breaker the Magical Warrior, where I can remove that spell counter from him at any point in time, I believe. No, once per turn. If a face-up spellcaster type monster on the field would be destroyed, I can remove one of the spellcasters, or one of the spell count. Yeah, I can remove one spell counter from a card I control for each of the monsters instead. So unlike Breaker the Magical Warrior, I can remove spell counters from anywhere on the field to save my magician's booties, which comes in fairly handy shape when I'm getting attacked, when I'm trying to attack. They're trying to take out monsters using effects and whatnot. I can protect these guys if they would be destroyed by removing a spell counter with Defender the Magical Warrior, or Defender the Magical Knight. So that's why he's in there, is because I can save magicians easily with spell counters, which the deck bases around of. Now the next one, since we're going into spell counters, is Alchemist of Black Spells. One, he just looks freaking cool as crap. Here is his stats and effect, if you want to look at that. His effect is once per turn, it can change him while he's in attack position to defense position and place a spell counter on a card I control that I can place a spell counter on. Change from attack position to defense position. I like that. Going from 1,200 to 1,800. And I get to put a spell card on the field. I'm okay with that. This is very helpful when they don't have anything on the field, and I can just keep changing boop-a-doo, boop-a-doo, doo-a-doo, 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 and just start piling up the spell counters. So that's why they're in there. They are also wind type, which I did not go over this with Genex Allied Birdman, but if Genex Allied Birdman, if you special summon him by picking up or by returning to your hand a wind monster, then he gains 500 attack, so he's at 1,900 attack. So if I'm really in a desperate situation, or if it just seems like a good idea, I can return Alchemist of Black Spells to my hand to summon Genex Allied Birdman, giving him a solid 1,800 attack if I need that. So that's why the Alchemist of Black Spells is in there. Now we're coming down to the wire. We only got 3 more monster cards to go, and then we got the spells to talk about. This is the skilled blue magician. I don't care about his Gaga, or not the Gaga. To summon one guy, the Fierce Knight. I don't care, but I can banish this card from my graveyard to place a spell counter on any card I control that can have a spell counter. There you go with his effects and stats. Pretty much this guy is 1,800 attack, 1,800 defense. Solid if I need him either way. You need him to attack, he's good. Need him to defend, he ain't bad. Once you do get him in the graveyard, I can remove him from play and start the spell counter system going. Fairly simple, but very helpful. Now here we go with 2 of my favorites that have been in the deck forever. Magical Exemplar, 1,700 attack. Here's her effect, if you want to see it, and the stats. But she is deadly. Each time a spell card is activated, place 2 spell counters on this card, on her. Once per turn, I can remove from play No, I can remove any number of spell counters that are on her to special summon a spellcaster type monster from my hand or graveyard that equals whose level is equal to the number of spell counters I had removed. She racks up spell counters easily. Lots of cards in this deck require me to be removing spell counters, and if I really want to summon something and she's loaded with spell counters, bada bing, bada boom, I can remove spell counters from her to bring out monsters that can be special summoned if I get enough spell counters which equal their level. So she's a staple because I can remove spell counters from her. She gains them fast, and I can summon with her. 1700 attack ain't shabby. She stays on the field for a little while, and yeah, she's cool like that. Now the last one is Crusader of Endymion, another Endymion card. He's a Gemini, as you guys can see, along with his stats in effect. This guy's a Gemini, pretty much means you gotta summon him twice, which kind of sucks. But I can once per turn give a card a spell counter, and he gains he gains 600 attack till the end phase. So A, I get a card with 1900 attack, ain't shabby to begin with. B, if I summon him as a Gemini, I can give monsters or anybody spell counters. C, if I do get B, then I get 2500 attack on him. So it's either 19 or 25. Both not bad. Love this card in the deck. Alright, so that's it for the monsters and spells and traps and extra deck. Now let's go into the spells. The main part of the deck. The big part. It's the spell counter deck. Enough said. So I want to start out with staples like I did with the traps. The first one is Swords of Revealing Light. Mine is in Japanese, so there's no point in showing you, but if you don't know what it does, pretty much your opponent cannot attack for 3 turns. Staple. They can't attack. It's incredibly helpful. Dark Hole, again, no point in showing you because mine's in Japanese, because a lot of people know what it does already. Collector's edition kind of thing. Dark Hole, what it does is it destroys all monsters on the field. You're in a sticky situation, they got a bunch of good monsters. Hey, guess what, buddy? Dark Hole. Destroy all their monsters. Also recently just brought back YuGiOh Guardian. Alright. Another kind of staple for this sort of deck is Mage Power. So, Mage Power, if you don't know, here's its effect and whatnot. A monster that's equipped with it, as you can see, it's an equip. It's an equip one. He, pretty much for every spell and trap card that is on my side of the field, that monster gains 500 attack points. So, essentially, I can have up to 6 spells and trap cards on the field, gaining them 6 times 5, 3,000 attack points. 3,000 attack points at any monster, as long as I have lots of spells and trap cards laid out on my field. Not shabby, it's a spell card, and with all of these spell cards, like every single one of them, I get spell counters whenever I activate spells. Alrighty, so the next one is Pot of Duality. Pot of Duality is another spell card, which is incredibly good. And as you can see, if I could pick the card up, here we go. Look at that beauty. So pretty much I can look at the top 3 cards in my deck, pick one of them, put that one in my hand, and shuffle the other 2 into the deck. Very good to get myself out of sticky situations and getting myself what I need in the long run for these cards. Now the next 2 are my 2 continuous spell cards, Arcane Barrier, and pretty much with this one, whenever I activate a spell, whenever a spell type monster is destroyed, it gets a spell counter for maximum. I can send this card, a face-up Spellcaster type monster you control, to the graveyard, and draw a card for each counter that is on this. So if I need draw power, pretty much this is just draw power right here. If I need it, I have it. And it's also another thing that can collect spell counters to use with other cards. So the next one is Spell Absorption. Spell Absorption is extremely simple but extremely helpful in this deck. Every time I activate a spell, gain 500 points. Anytime a spell is activated in general, I gain 500 life points, which is extremely helpful because if I'm activating a bunch of spells, kind of like Tempest Magician, with the discarding cards and whatnot, 500 life points starts to add up. Whether it be me hitting my opponent with Tempest Magician's 500, or me gaining life points when spell cards are activated with Spell Absorption. And since this is a spell-based deck, it is extremely useful because, spell cards are being activated all the time. So, Miracle Synchron Fusion is the next spell card I want to go ahead and tackle. As you can see right there, what it is and whatnot. It's a pretty card. I actually kind of like the artwork on it, to be totally honest. And so, pretty much, I'll just read it out loud because this one's a little bit complicated, kind of. Remove from play from your side of the field or your graveyard fusion material monsters listed for a fusion monster, and special summon that fusion monster from the extra deck. It is counted as a fusion summon. If this set card is destroyed by battle by opponent's card effect and set to the graveyard, draw one card. This is the only thing I have to get out Supreme Arcanite Magician. And because pretty much I get what I need in my graveyard or my deck, right? Move from play from my side of the field or the graveyard. So pretty much late in the duel, I draw this card. Arcanite Magician's already in the graveyard. I already have some stuff in the graveyard I can use to fusion summon fairly easily. Bada bing, bada boom. Very helpful to get out that. It's also a spell card, so it does a whole spell counter thing. The next one is Quick Booster. This one is very shiny, so it's going to be interesting to try to show you guys. Boom. There is the effects and whatnot. So, pretty much this card is also another interesting one. So, I can activate it. It is a quick play spell card, by the way, if you cannot see that. There you go. Quick play spell card. Target one quick play spell card in my graveyard, except for Quick Booster itself. Shuffle that target back into the deck. But if this card is destroyed by an opponent's monster, or if this card is destroyed by your opponent while it is face down to the spell and trap card zone, I can add a quick play card, except for Quick Booster, from my deck to my hand. So if my opponent destroys this card while it's face down in spell and trap card zone, I can get a quick play spell card from my deck. Or I can shuffle one back into the deck. Now, Magical Dimension is the quick play spell cards that I use because I have Quick Booster in there. Very good. Very, very good. Here you go. Here is the effect. If you want to see it, just go ahead and continue with the trend there. By the way, these are both first editions. So if I control a face-up Spellcaster type monster, target one monster you control. Tribute that target, then special summon one Spellcaster type monster from your hand. Then you can destroy one monster on the field. Pretty much, this can be used during my turn or their turn. So if I'm going to have a monster that's going to die anyway, I'm going to activate this card as a quick play and destroy the monster that's already going to be destroyed. Special summon another one and destroy a good card on their field. Pretty much, this is a super very good card that I really enjoy using. And if you know the game, you know why. It can get annoying. It's like, I destroyed your good monster. Well, also, I'm just gonna destroy it myself and destroy your good card and summon another one of my cards. So, yeah. So the last card in the entire deck is Spell Power Grasp. As you can see, I do not have 3, which is why I have a proxy, that rhyme D. Spell Power Grasp is extremely good. It's just absolutely incredibly good for this deck because A, it is a spell card, and B, its effect is I can place one spell counter on a card, and I can also add one Spell Power Grasp from my deck to my hand. So it's almost immediate so pretty much first I activate it, and everything that has that happens when a spell card's activated, like Spell Absorption, Magical Dimension, or Magical Marionette, Exemplar Magician, all of these kind of cards that happen, that's automatic. And it's automatic when a spell card's activated. I get one for that. And then I can just slap another one onto anything I want. So it's pretty much 2 spell counters in one. And I can add, so it's pretty much 2 spell counters every turn for 3 turns, which is incredibly helpful if you want to try to speed this kind of deck up. So that's the entire deck. I hope you guys enjoyed this little deck run through kind of thing, and if you did, make sure you leave this video a like, thumbs up, and comment your Dueling Network username so I can add you on Dueling Network and we can duel sometime if you want to. And also make sure you guys comment if you like the deck or if you have any suggestions for the deck if you're a Yu-Gi-Oh-er. With that, since that's all, make sure you guys keep the all your spirit within you. Micael from StevensvilleGamers is signing off. 1, 2, 3. Oh yeah.